Hi, welcome everybody to Astrology Unplugged 304 tonight. So we're just going to keep doing it till we stop. We welcome newcomers, Jasmine and Everett. I'm not sure where you went. Tonight, I promised the regulars that I'm going to look at their charts. So I kind of know who they are, and I'll work my way to the people who appear here less often than they do. And we'll just try to make everybody happy if we can. The main reason I found when I read for groups of people, I'll get to one person and it'll be boing, and I'll say, no wonder. And that's why we're reading. We're reading for that person tonight. I had a reading today for a guy. It's really intriguing. Been reading for him for 10 years. And he had the moon Pluto across the ascendant. And boy, it's hard to figure out. And I told him that it's really hard to figure out. And when I got to the end of it, Saturn, the only thing going on this chart, Saturn was sitting on it. Saturn was sitting right on the moon Pluto. So it made it obvious that that's what we were here to break. And we were breaking free of past life issues. Moon Pluto issues have to deal with, no matter how you feel it's wrong, you're brought up wrong, whatever you feel, it ain't right. Don't say how you feel, it ain't right. That crap. He was breaking free of it. So it was a wonderful day to see him get liberated. Okay, we're going to start out with the doctor. I got to find your chart. So I'm just going to pause the show till I get your chart ready. Dr. Becky. Hello, Dr. Becky. How you been? Let's get you unmuted. How you been up by Lake Erie?
Oh, cold and snowy sometimes, but pretty good.
Okay, you said you're kind of retired, looking for something to do, and I've read for you for at least 15 years, and we've talked about a lot about you becoming more involved with I don't know how you would say it, nonprofits. But you're really, really bright, especially bright for a doctor. You're not like a normal doctor. You're To me, you're way up above them in your understanding, especially in terms of new age stuff. Let's get your chart on the screen and let's see what's going on with you. All right. Gotta get all my ducks in a row. And Becky's a Pisces. Very complex chart. I've toiled on this chart many times. It's not a simple one. The moon is in Taurus, which is really strong. The moon is really strong, especially for a Pisces, and it's opposite Saturn in Scorpio. So this is a very tough, stubborn moon. This is the opposite of what you would expect from a Pisces. Okay, we got a sun in Pisces up near the 10th house. I really like that because that makes them more public and that helps them avoid that tendency of running away and hiding, which all Pisces got that. They'll want to run away and hide because they're not made for harshness. They're not made for the harsh world. And running away and hiding is a very Piscean thing. But this sun in the 10th, not going to let that happen. And you may have tried, but it doesn't work.
Yep.
We got a grand cross here. It's kind of irregular, but it is. Jupiter, Uranus opposite Venus, Neptune opposite Mars. I'll be very interested in going into your past life chart because I want to see what makes this tick. Why are you being so tough on yourself? What is this moon Saturn all about? So when I encounter a birth chart, I started to explore the old harmonics I used to do to find out why is a birth chart the way it is. Now what I look for is what sticks out in that birth chart. Because a lot of people have, when you see thousands of birth charts, you see many, many recurring themes. But when you got a moon in Taurus and it's opposite Saturn in Scorpio, You got somebody who says, I'm coming into this lifetime this time, and I'm saying planted. What's that mean? Where did it come from? So we're going to look into the past life and see if there was any history such as being scattered. So you don't come into this lifetime and get planted unless you've been having difficulties with that in the past life. So we're going to find out what's happening. First thing we're going to do, let's go into your chart. And don't look for a pattern out of me because you'll never get one because I don't even know what I'm going to do. So good luck. Okay, here's your birth chart once again. I've toyed over this many times. You got the very advanced Mercury in Aquarius. You got the very nice Venus near Chiron, the Chiron in Aquarius. That Venus is very lively, opposite Jupiter and Uranus. And look at this. You got the Venus next to Chiron and opposite Jupiter, Uranus, which is kind of, hey, let's go see the friendly with it doctor. See, I make these things come alive. I don't try to translate them into the right word. I just, what does that symbol do to my tongue? Let's go see the with it doctor. Okay, not only are you going to see the with it doctor, and she's been way ahead of her time for many lifetimes, but this old T-square goes down to Neptune. And that's her ruling planet. So we know that she's had a history of being very Neptunian, and that means when she gets in trouble, when she gets whatever, when she gets stuck, she has always turned to her Neptune for her solutions. And that's a really good thing to do, unless you're skipping out or drinking or trying to become an alcoholic or a druggie, which she certainly isn't. So when you got a very strong Neptune, it usually means that you're trying to zip up your mouth, keep your mouth shut, hand your problems to God, which you couldn't do any better than that. So that's what she's been doing. That doesn't mean it's been working. That doesn't mean that's what she wants to do. We don't know yet. It's just not simple. But we know that, like, for instance, growing up, and I forget what your parents were like, but for instance, growing up, if you've been around parents that were not always pleasant, you kind of went into your own world. That's the Neptune world. People that go in the Neptune world are found in their closet under a blanket with the sketchboard and the flashlight. That's what they're doing. Because they would rather be in their own world and be pleasant than to be in someone else's world and be all confused. Does that make any sense, Becky?
Yeah, I tend to be more of a loner type of.
Yeah, kind of a loner is what we're looking at. Okay, but we're going to dig deeper because this thing's deep. This is not simple. Okay, and we're looking, well, when she's doing that, why in the world is she burying the moon's best places in Taurus? Why is she burying it in the middle of the 12th house and putting it opposite a stationary Saturn in Scorpio? Why? We don't know yet. We got a good question. Leave the question on the table. Okay. We got all kind of other things happening. Those are the main things. We got a T-square to Neptune, got T-square to four different areas. We do have Pluto very close to the nadir. It's out of sign, but it's 5 degrees away. So we want to find out, first thing, what's going on in this chart. Right now, Pluto has been opposite this for a couple of years. Pluto has been in this area on her Venus and on her Uranus for a couple of years. Eris is there now, Pluto is there now, and what that means, let's just get through that quickly, and that's sending T-squares to Neptune too. Let me get Susan's name written down here. I can see that I'm going to be going very slowly tonight. Okay, what this means is you're questioning, because the Pluto's coming up, it's coming up through you, you're questioning this long-term habit of issues with people, turn it over to God. Issues with people, turn it over to God. which sounds really good. Maybe it just needs adjustment, but you're questioning this whole triangle. And do I want to keep doing that? Because Pluto and Eris are pounding on it right now, making sure it's working. Does this make sense to you?
I'm not sure.
Let me make it a little clearer to you. It's not simple. Through the looks of 4 of your planets, you've got this tendency throughout many lifetimes to be very, I've even told you this in the past, for almost flirty, which doesn't seem to make sense when I met you, but it's just a real friendly atmosphere. That's a friendly dynamic that you have. But in the past, people are watching you do this. They're watching you be friendly. We don't know if you're a woman or a man, but what did you do with all this friendliness there? Because there's a T-square from it. You went to Neptune to understand your mixings with these people, or to deal with the fact that you did this. You tried to see it always through your spiritual prism. Does that make sense?
It sounds right.
Okay, now with Pluto on it now and Eris on it now, it's not good enough anymore. That's why these planets are there now. They're there now to inspect this, and they're here to say, does this really work? Pluto wants these relationships not just to be friendly, but to be deep and meaningful, or get rid of them. And Eris wants them to be, my God, I'm able to be myself and kind of be loosey-goosey with these people, or else I'm going to get rid of them. So you're doing tremendous inspection to the way you socialize with people. And that's been going on for 3 years now. Does this make any sense to you?
Well, that sounds like what I would like to do. I'm not around very many people yet, having just moved. So remains to be seen, I guess.
That's what I would like to do is what?
Get involved in other people's lives and, like you say, have the deep relationships and
Good. What I'm trying to
be a
say,
positive force.
what I'm trying to say to you is get involved with people now, but not be so careful. I don't want to worry about stepping on a toe. I'm not going to hurt anybody. My nature is loving. I don't need to worry. And your past life is full of, you better be careful when you're with all these people.
Okay.
I don't know where it came from, all of you, but it came from somewhere. But you're done with it. And when you're that uptight about it, that doesn't allow you to be free when you're with these folks. So that's the essence of what's happening in your chart.
Well, it helps to be retired because now nobody's looking over my shoulder.
Yeah. And I think you're going to surprise a lot of people because you're really, really bright and you're really, really with it. Your chart's really about somebody who's always been way ahead of the pack. And I want you to realize from my doings with other people, you don't have to go look for these people. They're going to be sent to you. Why? Because God knows all about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like using that G word. The Holy Spirit knows all about it, and he's going to send, or she's going to send people to you, or the right organizations for you to be involved in. We had to get you liberated first. So you're still at the tail end of doing some liberating from the old days, and the new stuff's going to start coming your way. Okay?
Excellent. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
I really would be honest with you. I really would like to work with you privately on this, because this is much bigger than I can afford to do tonight. Okay?
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. And Miss Kathy F., the famous figure with the top light on top of her shining down. See how the light shining down? Huh? I gotta get into her chart. There she is. Okay. I got your chart ready. Miss Kathy F. from Oklahoma. Let's get your chart on the screen. Well, there's so many buttons. I just hope I push the right one. I just hope I do. One time I shut the whole show off. Then I've had
Takes
other
special
times.
talent.
I've had other times where the show just shut itself off. Trying to tell me something. Miss Kathy F. Okay, we see the immediate T-square to Pluto. So you got the real strong Leo and you got the Virgo. So that's what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. And my observation with you, I don't think you're that hung up on this. In other words, some people can be very troubled having the Leo and the Virgo because they seem to be real opposites. I think you work with them pretty well. And I think that's very good. And I
Okay.
told you all along, when the Virgo wants on stage, the Leo's going too, and vice versa. And they don't. Neither of them wants the other one on stage because they're just not
Okay.
the best. They're not the best bedfellows. Okay, what do you see real strong? What sticks out? Mars, right on the ascendant. Okay, you see, everybody, you can't be fooled by looking at this nice lady who looks so non-Martian. This lady's Martian. Listen to the chart. She's Martian. She'll give you a punch. She'll knock you in the corner. She'll push you back. You push on her, she's going to push on you. Listen to the chart first, your eyeball second. True, Kathy? True?
Yeah, I do
mean,
push back. Yeah.
yeah, if somebody messes with you. Well, good. Because a lot of times Virgos don't because you're so wound up with what you're supposed to do. Got to do the right thing,
Right.
the right thing. Well, this Mars and Leo doesn't care about what the right thing is. You just
Well,
you
it's
just
taken many years to reach that point.
that's okay. And
Maturity.
you disrespect this lady, you're gonna get pushed back.
Mhm.
Okay. That's what Mars and Leo
Yes.
is. And that Mars is square to Venus, which amplifies that. All right, this is nice. You got Jupiter, you got the moon opposite Chiron, making a T square to Pluto. So you got Pluto square the moon. Now, Pluto moon is so significant that you can't just skip over it. She does have Saturn sun. Pluto moon, I just talked about this earlier tonight. Pluto moon usually means, it's very complex. It usually means that you and your mother did not have a healthy sense of mom is here and Kathy is here. Usually. Sometimes it even means that the mother is living vicariously through the purity of the child. A lot of parents are very jealous of Virgo children that are pure, Scorpio children that are pure, Piscean children that are pure. And they won't say the words, but they're jealous of it.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know what your issue was with your mom, and that's for a private reading. But with Pluto moon in your chart, square like this, what this means is throughout your lifetime, especially when you get to your 60s, you're going to start owning your power. And I think that in the last 5 years since I've known you, you've been doing that more and more.
Right.
Owning your power. And as you own your power, nobody's losing. You're gaining.
Right.
But you got to realize if there's anything I need to have a subtitle in this show, is be careful what all the Virgos tell you. Virgo is a tough energy and it will lie to you. You know, you stay disciplined and you work hard and everything will work out. No,
Not anymore.
that's not always true.
Right.
So I have a lot of joy because I do most of my work with Virgo women, and I have a lot of joy watching so many Virgo women, so good-hearted people. I watch them liberate themselves, and it really makes me feel good. The Virgo men are really different. They're really having a tough time because they're just not allowed to do nothing. Right, Claudia? They're just not allowed to do nothing. Now, excuse me, Sigmund. You're quite different. So you're not the typical. I had my glasses off. All I saw was a finger in the air. I didn't notice Oh, that's what I wasn't sure which one it was, but now I see. Virgo, Sigmund is not a typical Virgo by any means. Okay, now let's find out what's going on in your chart. I ain't got time to fool around. Okay, you get the T squared of Pluto. Now this is a big deal because Uranus is at 15 Taurus. Uranus is at 15 Taurus right here, squaring this point. What the hell does that mean? Uranus is squaring this point, which is that sensitive point. What this means is this. I don't care if you're a Virgo or what, put that to the side. This means that when you get into tension, when you get in, not detention, when you get into tension in relationship, you've got the benefit of leaning on that powerful Pluto in Leo, which means it ain't my fault. Don't blame me. The Virgo's the opposite. Blame me must have been something I did. Nah, not with the Pluto in Leo. It ain't me. So you have a tendency to be like De Niro. You talking to me? We talking to me? But now Uranus is hitting it. Uranus is creeping up on the moon, and Uranus is hitting this Pluto. And what this means is you're trying to get free of this. Well, man, you mix all those noodles together. What this means is you're trying to get out of automated responses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have an automated response to get myself out of this situation. I want to be very honest with how I feel and just say it.
Right.
That's what's happening.
Yep.
It's not simple because you have to get past the guards. And Lord knows the Virgo's got the guards. You know, they got the sentries on the shoulders watching so everything's done properly. Not with Uranus there. Uranus there, and you're finding that you're able to just say what you want to say and you'll be okay. How does that sound?
That sounds about right. Yeah,
That's
particularly the last few months. Yeah.
That's a very good sign because that means you're in touch with that energy. And the fact is, you're actually reacting to it a little bit late, which is normal when fixed signs are involved, like the moon and Taurus. It takes a little while for that energy to get through the molasses, a little time. So you're on a liberated path, very, very strong, and you keep stopping yourself, I would assume, to see if you're allowed to do it. And I keep telling you, week after week, after year, me and you, there aren't any allows. If you're willing to deal with the consequences, just do it.
Right.
Because you're not going to go hurt anybody. You're just not going to. It's not your nature. So enjoy your freedom and go right to the liquor store and get a bottle of champagne.
Woohoo!
That's
Thank
what
you.
I say to people like you. Now let's see who's next on the list.
Thank you.
Rachel. Rachel, there in the cloud. Are you there in the cloud, honey?
I sure am, but maybe next week. I've got a terrible headache.
Okay, honey. I will be glad to let you rest. You
Okay,
take
thank you.
care of yourself, and we'll get to you when we can. I'm sorry you're not feeling well. Miss Elke, we've not looked at your chart for a long time from Western Canada. Welcome aboard.
Well, thank you.
You are welcome. Get yourself unmuted. And even though you've not been a regular, you've been with us for so long that I'm going to classify you thusly because you've been around for, probably 5-6 years. Okay, here's Elke. The really unusual chart, not easy chart, of German-born Elke.
Hey, okay, never mind.
Yeah, honey, go ahead.
At first, my chart was still up, but now I see it's changed.
Yeah, I have to
Yeah.
paint the screen twice. what I see is not what you see, so I have to paint it twice. But thank you very much. Elke, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we got Elke's chart here. Elke's chart is very unusual in the sense that she's got this very powerful Pluto Saturn. Let me get it on the screen. She's got this very powerful Pluto Saturn, which is definitely a past life issue. We don't know what it means. Pluto Saturn. They're both square to the ascendant. These are two heavyweights, and she's coming from a country that has a lot of karma, which is Germany. Now, we don't know what this means, but what does she do with it? What does she do? She's very smart. With the heaviest planets there are, she sends the energy over to Jupiter and Gemini. She laughs it off. Smart. Most of the time. Smart. You have a tendency to get this heavy stuff going on. I think it's heavy duty inner stuff. And sometimes it just gets too much to handle. And you are very lucky that you have a nice outlet through the Jupiter and Gemini. So we want to keep our eye on this real closely. Anytime anything hits this planet, see what happens to you. You have the very nice Mercury and Venus in Leo, which is very good to keep that Cancer sun from being too sensitive. Very strong moon in Aquarius, which is kind of like a bucket pattern. The whole big bucket, and the bucket's all swinging from the moon. Guess what's coming in late March? Guess what's coming to your neighborhood, Elke? Pluto's entering Aquarius. Now, Pluto's going to hit your moon. It's going to hit 0 and then 1 and then 2, and then it's going to go backward. And you're going to freak out because it's Pluto. And it's not always going to be easy, but I will be able to work with you gladly. And I've seen so many people deal with these kind of transits and find their power. You see, one of the difficulties in your chart is that big problematic Pluto Saturn of yours, which means you got to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Your parents told you, we're not carrying it, you're carrying it. You're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. And this you've told us. Well, the truth is, no, she don't want to carry it. She doesn't have to carry it. This is the favorite thing I've done since 2022. Claudia, I've learned to go, no. I'm really enjoying that. No. It's like my cat says to me, I got to put drops in my cat's ears. That's what she goes, no. Forget that one. So your Pluto Saturn tells me, see, if I were doing a complete reading, I'd dig way into your past lives and see something's going on with old time guilt. There's something going on with you think God's mad at you. So you got to take this lifetime and be really tough and put everybody on your shoulder and win. But it's not true. It's not true. This is happening to everybody. But with that T-squared to Jupiter Gemini, there's a real tendency here to be flippant, which can be good, and there's a flippant, which can be bad. Because flippant that's too flippant, you're just not experiencing what's happening. You're just getting the Pluto Saturn off your back, but you're not experiencing what's really going on with the Pluto Saturn. So that's why this started when I was just looking at this. And was talking about Neptune. Let's see. Let's catch up here. Neptune is squaring this ascendant. Neptune is squaring this Jupiter. So let's talk about that because that's really important. Finally, Pluto has gotten off your sun, but Pluto's heading towards your moon. So your story here is, what is Neptune doing to you from right here, squaring the ascendant and that Jupiter? What's Neptune doing to that Jupiter? And they're very good bedfellows, those two. And what is Pluto about to do when it hits the moon? Okay, let's start with the Pluto. When Pluto hits your moon, what it means is, and I think you've been doing some of this already, you're going to let your family have it. And I don't mean getting mad and screaming. You're going to tell them, I am who I am. You are who you are. Quit trying to expect me to fit in your box of how you see me. I'm going to be myself. I love you for this, and I'm real pissed off because of that. You're going to be really direct about it. And the more direct you are, you don't have to be mean. The more direct you are, the more you're going to get away with having good experiences at this time. But if you try to hold on to, oh, if I'm nice, they're going to treat Elkie nice, that ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. And I know you're past it. Okay? It's not going to work because it's not you. And you're finding out that they were just using you anyway. Because by putting the blame on you, by putting the pain on you, they didn't have to address their own. This is really common. Okay, but what's even more wonderful than this is very subtle. Remember, everything's going to that Jupiter Gemini, but Neptune's squaring it now. And what is Neptune saying to your Jupiter? These two planets get along real well. What is Neptune squaring the ascendant, hitting that Jupiter? What is it saying to that Jupiter, which is that release valve? What is Neptune saying to that Jupiter? Take a shot at it. You've got a lot of talent. Take a shot at it.
Kill them with kindness.
That's exactly right. Now, but that's exactly right. But it's got to be real. Can't be fake. Can't be fake. It's got to be real. And where you've been doing it, where it hasn't been real, that's going to start backfiring on you. Okay? And where you've been doing it, where it has been real, is going to start bringing up roses for you. Okay? So in other words, a lot of the pain, what we would find with a true reading, a lot of the pains seems to come from the parents and the past life, but it's not. It is all from you. It's all from us. We create our own stuff. So your intention to escape to Neptune all the time was in Jupiter and Gemini, I'm sorry, was very smart, and it worked. Thank goodness. But now it's time to get over it and get down to it. So what's happening to you now is that Pluto-Saturn in your chart is going to start to subside because Neptune's hitting him. It's going to start subsiding. And you're going to start feeling like, get this stuff off my shoulders. I don't need to carry all this weight. And then Neptune's going to start saying, well, let's start solving these issues by being nice to ourselves and to them.
Yeah.
Your opinion?
Yeah, I'm booked to go to Germany April 11th.
I know last time you went, it was no picnic, was it?
No, but this is going to be different. I'm a different person.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so glad. I'm so glad.
Yeah, this is.
That's wonderful.
And if they are still the way that they are, if they don't want to toe the line, I'm out of there and I'll have a great time by myself. It's all good.
Well, I'm very happy for you, and I'm happy to see this because the years go by and we don't want this to happen. Now, remember, we could really use a reading, and I'm not just trying to talk everybody into reading, but some people, the stuff's very, very deep and we need like an hour. But I'd be glad to talk to you about this. This all comes from the past life, and it all comes from what we think God's pissed off at us about. So it's all about. We got all these things that we're going to do, put all the weight on our shoulder because we know God's pissed off at us because we ain't done very well. And it's all made up. It's all junk that we've been programmed with. So I'm very glad to hear that. I think Neptune's going to be very good for you. I think the more you meditate and do automatic writing or journaling, whatever you call it, I think the more you get the voice of the Holy Spirit on paper, the more it's going to really help you with this whole thing. And some of this is going to be tough. And you're going to need to just say, I don't know how to handle it. Please tell me another way of looking at this. It's that simple. Please show me another way to look at this. And I think you'll be shocked. Okay?
Thank you. Yep, thank
You
you.
are welcome. You're welcome. And I want to talk about this further as time goes on. That's going to be a really good one. Mr. Sigmund. Hold on, please. Okay, Sigmund. Now, let's take a look at what's happening. Pluto is, oh boy, Pluto is going to square in March. It's going to square the midheaven and the nadir. It gets to 0 degrees fixed. You see all you people with planets and angles and anything in a fixed sign, anything in Scorpio, in Taurus, in Aquarius, and Leo, all of it's getting hit by Pluto during the next 20 years. But those of you who have early stuff, such as 3 degrees, you're sitting by the doorway. So as soon as that door opens, hello. So what that means with you, Sig, let's just talk about that first. With Pluto starting to square the midheaven. I noticed, I've known you for a good while. You have a very comfortable life with what you do. Where are you on my screen? Okay, there you over there. When Pluto hits the midheaven, you're going to start to get this urge inside to do more. I want to become more important. I want to do something more significant. This can very well, I know you teach meditation, etc. This can very well follow on those lines. If it does, it's still going to get much deeper. We're going into the submarine now. That's what we're talking about. I don't care what you've been doing, it's just going to get deeper. And I know you've been pretty deep to begin with. So this can be really good, and you have to look at this at different levels, because when Pluto gets involved, it's going to, one, bring you around in connection to really powerful people. I mean, really powerful people. Some people you may have to be careful with, because they're going to be powerful and a little bit dangerous, and you're going to have to keep your eye on them. Okay? I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue, but it's going to be an issue that we need to talk about. Pluto wants you, it's like the warrior that you see, they stand up and they strip their clothes off on the lightning bolt. It's the true warrior with courage, and he's naked before everything, and he's taking on the universe. These kind of energies, this kind of mood, this kind of story is a Pluto story. Now, what does that mean to you?
Well, I'm not sure.
Wagner music. Susan, you're exactly right.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because
You're going to feel this now, not later. It's here now. So you're already feeling this energy. What does it feel like?
well, I asked to feel whatever energy. I know we're going through an energy shift, an energy change, whatever you will. And I know that it's having and going to have profound effects,
Right.
For everyone, whether they're aware of it or not. So I asked to feel what's out there, every day, what's beyond my perception,
Right.
my cognitive limitations. And sometimes I feel something, sometimes it's just the room I'm in. Basically, what it feels like is infinity, and as far as I can tell, and a, a deep grounded stillness.
Yes. Yes, and I want to show you something that I think is the secret to all this. Here's the issue. Now, you've got this for a reason, because it's how you are, it's how you are. You see, when Pluto gets involved and starts shaking things up, along with Eris, the last thing it wants to hear from are your voices of 5 Libra planets. I mean, Eris is the voice of, I'll do whatever I gotta do to shake it up. And Pluto is similar. And your Libra planets don't want to hear it. And your Libra planets are very nice, and they're very calm, and they're very tactful, and you've got the benefit of that. And that's because you've been very disciplined and very loving for a long time. So I don't expect trouble, but I think you need to become aware of this. These could end up on separate sides of the boxing rink. Okay? And if any part of you is going to win during the next several years, you got to let the Pluto Eris win. Okay? You're not going to get anywhere with being nice and tactful with the Libra stuff. Because of the world, because it doesn't match what's going on inside. That's why. And you have every reason to be really successful at this time. I think you're going to encounter tremendously powerful entities, both in your meditations, both in your spiritual work, both with the people that you're meeting. But one thing that's not going to happen, this is not going to assuage you. It's not going to make it smooth for you just because you prefer it to be smooth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you're very tough. And you're very, as a matter of fact, you're so tough with all that Virgo that sometimes that Libra stuff holds you back. Because sometimes Virgo is the one that says, tough shit, just get it done. That's what Virgo says. And the Libras don't like hearing that. It ain't time for the Libras to talk. It's time for the Libras, send them to the peace accords later on. Okay? Later on, after we have leftovers and stuff. All right? But the Pluto Eris is about getting it done no matter what. Don't you see that in the world today? I mean, it's a effed up place, and we've got to have this attitude of we've got to fix this climate no matter what. Period. Period. And that's what Pluto and Eris are doing. So, you don't need to sit there and make sure that you appease the gods who want you to be nice. Okay? You don't have to do it. There ain't nobody saying that you have to. I know you're comfortable with it, but it ain't time for that. That's second or tertiary. That makes sense?
Yeah.
What matters now is that you grab your power, because you're very powerful and your power is coming to you in spades. It really is. I'll be glad to talk to you anytime you want about this, all right?
Thank you, Rick. You're a blessing to me.
Well, you are welcome. Claudia, or do you want to look at your chart?
I think you can move on to other
Yeah, we talk enough.
others.
We're going to talk enough anyway. Let's get to our lawyer in the house. Let's get to John H. Thank you, Claudia. Let's get to John H. Okay, here's John H. Okay, Now, John, I've not talked to you about your chart in a while. So let's get up to speed on this. I'll be right back. John, you're worried about being in trouble. Why would that be, sir?
Blood. I mean,
Huh? Why would that be?
well, somebody said, "Is that blood?" And I think you're going to know. I'll drop some blood from me. So
No, you've got the terrific Gemini way of sliding out of things. Don't worry about that. And Geminis are. Look at what I was thinking today. Guess who's got a new album out? Brian Wilson is going to do all his old songs, just him on piano. Gemini.
Wow.
McCartney, 80 years old. Gemini. Bob Dylan, 80 years old. Gemini. Think of those three lines. What they've given us. Unbelievable. How could you even compare McCartney and Dylan? Whew. Okay, Mr. John, let's take a look at your chart. All right. With the 5 planets in Gemini, the Pluto rising, the 24 degrees, 25 degrees Venus. I told you for a long time this past year that this Venus is getting hit big. It's getting hit big by Eris is sitting right on it right now, and Pluto is squaring it. So and beside that, Pluto is going to come in to opposition to Pluto across the ascendant. Let's just get frank, because you are in trouble. All right, let's just get frank with what this means. Pluto is going to oppose your Pluto, which has natally been squaring that Venus. What this means is Geminis are very artful, especially the men. They're just really artful at slipping out of trouble. Hey, Mr. Trump. When Pluto opposes your Pluto across the ascendant, square to Venus, I would be very worried if I were you, if everything went easily. I would be very concerned that you're not facing the issues that need to be faced. Because Pluto opposite Pluto is not simple. You're going to get through it. You're going to be strong. You're going to be powerful, but something's got to start shaking. Something's got to be shaken up in your relationships, Venus. Now, I don't know what your relationships are like, and I understand your position as a lawyer. I understand that, but this is time for you to say what you want to say in all your relationship, period. That's what it means. Let's hear your comments.
well, I agree, and I'm not just a Gemini. I have the Scorpio moon.
Yes, you have the Scorpio, yes.
Yeah.
Gemini is how it's pronounced.
Gemini. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people say Gemini. Gemini. Okay, you have the Pluto there. Okay, well, with it on your Venus, let me give you an example of what that means. It's kind of like looking at your Venus in Gemini, and all of a sudden your Venus is in Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio is more of say what you got to say, like what you like, love what you love, hate what you hate. It's very black and white. Venus in Gemini is kind of lighthearted. Oh, I don't know. Kind of feel like this, kind of feel like that. Oh, what the heck. But when Pluto is passing those areas, what it's saying to you is you can't get any further until these things are repaired. In other words, you're getting yourself in situations where you have to be nice all the time. And sometimes your Pluto doesn't feel like it. It's very similar to Sigmund's reading. That doesn't mean you got to be mean. It does not mean you got to be unpleasant. Does not mean you got to be mean, but it means you got to be stern. Stern. And when you are, Pluto will back you up and people will back away from you just by sensing you. Pluto doesn't mess around. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely,
Okay.
definitely.
Now, I really like the fact that you were told that you don't have to be mean, you don't have to be against your nature, because your nature is very pleasant, etc. You don't have to go against it. But I've seen people be kind of like lighthearted, chuckling and all of a sudden they give you a stern look. And you know what the hell a stern look is. Okay? John Wayne had a stern Gemini look. James Cagney, a stern Gemini look. That's all it means. That's all it means. But most of all, what it means is that you don't kid yourself. That's what really matters. And what's the Pluto doing? It wants you to do things that matter. I mean, you're in the legal profession where all kind of people are getting away with murder. It wants you to get involved and get in a couple rounds. Because you know what the hell they're up to. True, false.
True.
But it's a very significant turning point.
Makes a lot of sense.
What's that?
It makes a lot of sense.
Give me your exclamation marks that you're hearing.
My exclamation point,
Yeah.
yeah, I do not let everybody know what I think.
I understand.
When I do, it's very effective.
Ooh.
Very effective. And I sort of, when I get a stupid idea, I keep it to myself, and I wish everybody else did the same.
They're not going to do that. You know that.
They're not.
They're not going to do that.
No.
No.
What you're saying makes absolute sense.
What I'm going to say one more thing to you, then I'm going to go on, because I think it's so powerful that anything else would water it down. Okay. What you're going to have to say to people in the near future ain't got nothing to do with John.
Yep.
It's coming to you from a real higher power.
Absolutely.
And it ain't effing around. You see, we all think about God and church and little lambs and all this stuff, and it's so nice and sweet in Easter dresses.
You're giving me permission, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate.
Yeah, well, I'm giving it, and I don't have it to give.
Oh, you
Yeah.
in a way, I
Yeah.
have tremendous
Well,
respect.
Well, I'm saying to you that shoot is coming up through you now.
Yes, it is.
It's going to.
It
And
is.
you cannot stop it. And all I can do is prepare you for it, warn you about it. And I think you're going to handle it well. And I really like what I'm hearing, because, quote unquote, you're ready to kick some ass.
I am.
You're ready to kick some ass. Now, you may do it by kicking them in the elbow. I don't know.
Thank you.
Kicking somebody's ass is not easy. But sometimes, sometimes it's really necessary. And one time I learned something which is really true. Sometimes we are the delivery man for bad karma. Sometimes we are the delivery boy to deliver somebody's bad karma.
Yeah.
But the thing that matters, especially with all of you, really, and you can see it with John, people know you're a nice guy. They know that Sigmund is a loving fella. They're not going to give you crap. They're not going to.
Like Sigmund said, you're a blessing. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, both of you. Let me move on and make sure that recording keeps going there. Erica, are you with us? Erica's been on. There you are. She's always there, and she
I
was.
got my connection back. I lost
Okay.
it for a while.
Okay, dear. Hold on. Let's pause. Okay. Here comes Erica. Our Taurus has been with us at least 5 years. Okay. Now, Miss Erica has a really intriguing chart. And
I
remember,
found you on YouTube.
yeah, a lot of people do. I know Jasmine did. Now, remember, she's a Taurus. Remember where Pluto's going. It's going into the fixed signs. So the first thing you got to ask about, Erica, is beside tilt your camera down a little bit, is how early are her planets? Early in Taurus? Are they late in Taurus? She got 7 degrees. The sun, the Saturn's at 2. So, my dear, let's just stop right here. You got Sun square Saturn. I'm picking them out, even though Neptune's going across the ascendant to these 4. I'm picking the Sun square Saturn out of the bushel first because Pluto's heading their way. Now, I'm going to remind you of something. I've been on this fanatical Eva Cassidy kick because she's just so unbelievable. Miss Cassidy has Sun Saturn at the same degree in Aquarius. So throw all your ideas out, ideas about drinking blood, throw out all your ideas about Sun Saturn. See, this started in 1971 when a woman read my chart. I didn't know anything. She said, "You're not very creative." I said, "What?" 25 movies later. What? And she was seeing my Sun square Saturn. Shows you how wrong you can be. So with Erica, Sun square Saturn, don't be fooled by it. There is always a tendency to stop yourself a little bit, to be a little too conservative, to want to express yourself and not do it. There's always a little bit of that, but usually Sun-Saturn combinations are very, very good because, and Sun square Pluto. Okay. Yes, you got it both. This comes right from Arroyo. It can be so frustrating that you have to work so hard that you end up becoming really good at it. It's that simple. That's exactly what Saturn does. Saturn does, everybody's so misunderstood about Saturn. It doesn't come into your life to make you miserable. It comes into your life to make sure. And if you don't want to make sure, then it gets miserable. Okay, so with Erica, with Sun Saturn, the Sun is your ability to express who you really are. And you got a bunch of Leo in there, so you're not weak in this sense. That's good. But Sun Saturn is being hit by Pluto now. It's growing, it's coming. That means you're going to start taking the governor off. Oh, she lifted her head up. Did you see her? Oh, you're going to start
For me, that will really be something because I usually have a hard time finding my governor to begin with. So, oh my God.
Well, where's your governor at?
Well, Uranus has been, my son's been on Uranus for quite a while because Uranus is in Taurus. And where's my governor at?
Your natural
you mean Saturn?
Your Saturn square to the
second
sun.
House.
Saturn
My
square
Saturn
to the
is in the second house.
Saturn square to the sun is kind of like, doesn't even matter what house. Saturn square in the sun is, I'm going to hold myself back a little. And you're probably a lot better off because you have. But in some ways, at sometimes the Saturn has to go. Okay.
Well, you don't want to hurt people, you know. I
Yeah,
drive
but
people
I'm not
crazy
talking.
as it is.
I'm not
Yeah,
talking
sure.
anything about other people. We're not.
Okay.
None of you are going to hurt people because you're all good-hearted people. That's not the issue. We're not.
Not hurt, just drive them crazy.
We're not that altruistic. Okay.
Because you're trying to make sure, you want to make sure they do things right, and they're like, "Leave me alone. I just want to do it
We're not going to
superficially."
talk about other people. This is about Erica. Okay. Now, why do you think Erica put Saturn on her sun to begin with? Give us some thought. It's a very common thing. It's no big deal. It simply means that somehow in your past life, you may have felt that you got a little bit trouble with your mouth, or you may have felt a little bit extra arrogant when you really wanted to pull back on it. You wanted to hold back a little. It's very normal. But Pluto's there now, and Eris is there now. And Pluto is not there so that Saturn can speak its mind. Pluto is there now so the sun can speak. The sun is the main planet in your chart. Look how big it is. So the sun in Taurus, because every time I know you and we let you go and you start to go, you always have really good things to say. They're very life affirming. They're very life supporting. Now we're going to put you on the stage and take the reins off of you. That's what's going to happen. Oh, come on. Now, aren't you looking forward to it?
Who wants to buy the ticket though?
Everybody raise your hand. See, we're all buying tickets.
I'm making a lot of trouble everywhere I'm going, believe me, because it's like that
Oh,
whole thing about
Erica, you're going to
you don't
go
have-
on this-
you don't care what you say. You have to be honest. You have to be yourself and let the cards fall where they may.
Yeah, but you're going on stage and you're going to be okay. Do you
Well-
see how this is happening across?
That would
the
be
board?
good.
This
I don't
is
want to get
happening with
shot or anything.
this is happening with 8 billion people. The whole planet's coming this way. That's what's going nuts right now. So you've had a tendency to hold yourself back, and it's been good and it's helped you, but now it's time to do away with that. So what is the resulting Erica going to sound like? I think she's scared to death.
I don't know because, with my son in the 8th house, that's very scorpionic. So
Right.
I'm like the poker player that doesn't want you to see my hand.
Right. Well,
Otherwise,
I'm the dealer, so it's a little different. Susan's got something to say to you. Go ahead, dear.
I think Erica is secretly timid and shy. And I think that she puts on quite a brave front. And she comes across strong, but I would be willing to bet her knees are shaken.
I don't think they are. I think she's tough as nails. You might be right.
Well,
Sue.
when I was on TV, my knees were shaking, but I think that was nervous energy.
When you were on what?
On TV,
Doing what?
Dr. Phil show.
Oh my God, no wonder. He quit today, by the way. What are you doing with
quit?
Dr.? He quit. He's done. He's retiring. What were you doing on Dr. Phil?
Well, they had an episode with Eric Steele and the movie The Bridge about the bridges, the suicide from the bridges, and my husband
In
and
San
I were
Francisco.
there because our daughter died at the bridge. So we were being interviewed.
I'm so sorry.
And my knees were shaking. I mean, I couldn't keep my feet.
Honey,
from-
I've been on TV. It's a bitch. It is hard.
I just felt like
Yeah.
this energy was
Yeah.
going through me like I was a live wire or something. It's like so much
it's
energy.
well, that's probably Uranus was on you. Okay, well, I'm just going to leave it at that. I want to look at one more thing, but
Thank you.
I think we're seeing a mixture of what Susan is saying, but I think you're tough as nails. And one thing I want to remind all of you, and I know this, I've written so much about this. When Pluto hits you, your power comes. It does. The only problem is if you say stay away. You can't do that, Pluto. It's coming. If you don't, Pluto will crash into your basement, start taking stuff. Pluto doesn't mess around. I told my buddy 3 months ahead of time, Pluto was on, and I told him what it meant. I didn't believe in that astrology junk. I gave him the date, February 3rd, 3 months ahead of time. This was 6 years ago. A truck On February 2nd, I was off by one day, a truck went through the wall of his business and smashed him up against the wall in his chair. And here's a picture of the wall and him in his chair and the truck. He didn't get hurt. He didn't get hurt. That was it. He was smashed. I said, do you believe me now? He said, oh, no, the guy was just fooling with his phone on the seat. I said, come on, man, give me a break. I was off by a couple of hours. That was the sound of his inner self that just tired of hearing his BS. So it just about destroyed him. Erica, you don't have to worry about this transit because you'll have me and us here to talk about it. But what it means is you need to start throwing away stuff in your life that doesn't work. You need to start throwing stuff, and Taurus has had plenty of stuff. Throw stuff away that's no longer serving you. Okay? Throw stuff away that is keeping you tied to an old identity.
I'm getting rid of so many of my books because I realize that the book is inside me. I don't need it on the shelf.
That's exactly.
I'm doing the Marie Kondo method, getting rid of clothes, books, pictures,
Well,
everything I can.
that sounds exactly wonderful. Now I'm going to move on, if you don't mind, because we got you and we got more time to talk about all you folks.
Thank you so much, Rick.
You are welcome. Let's get to our artisto with the mosto in Pittsburgh, Leanne. Leanne, let me get your chart up. Okay, Leanne, welcome to the hot seat. All right. Now, we see your Leo sun right in the middle of the 4th house, opposite Jupiter. You see the wonderful Neptune is very, very strong in your chart, giving you a lot of Pisces energy, Moon in Pisces, Chiron in Pisces. Very nice, soft, artisto types of energies. Now, Pluto is sitting right about here right now. It's right opposite your Saturn, and Eris is squaring your Saturn. Okay, now this is a big deal. We're going to talk Pluto again. When your Saturn's being hit, and Saturn's right at the midheaven, let's see if I can translate that for you. For a long time, where are you on my screen? There you are. For a long time, you've been doing what you think you should do. You've been doing what you think has been part of the plan. Okay, you've been following A to B to C to D to E, and you've been following this with great faith that it's going to lead you towards the big Leanne. And what you're finding out now is it's not, because that is a pattern. And there's nothing wrong with following a pattern when you're making a dress. But when it comes to being a free-spirited, huge artist like you are, you got to follow the big spirit. So what's happening in your chart is you're doing away with stuff that you thought you could depend on. That's what's happening. There's all these things. I call it the armchair aspect. You got this armchair and you're always leaning on the arm. And now one day it's just not there anymore. And you just keep doing this. It's not there. That's what's happening to your chart. Because you're bigger than that. Well, no more props is one way of putting it. How would you put this, Leanne?
I just feel like I'm seeing clearer. I'm seeing with clarity, and it's just like, that doesn't serve me anymore. That situation doesn't serve me anymore.
Well, that's really, really good coming from a double Neptune person. The fact that you see anything clearly is like for applause. I'm the same way. That's really, really good. And clarity is always assigned to what planet? Uranus. So Uranus is probably getting involved too. So that's good. And Pluto's not asking Saturn to step aside because it wants to destroy it. It's asking it to step aside because you're tired of the lies. The lie, there's nobody that will lie to you more in the zodiac than Saturn. They're all liars. But Saturn says, if you follow me, you stay inside the box, you're going to be okay. It ain't true. You're not going to be okay. You're going to be rigid, turn to a statue. And you're not statuesque. You're very fluid and flowing. So during Pluto-Saturn times, it's not easy. Times are probably kind of tough right now. But you will find as soon as it starts to break up, which should be in the next few weeks, it's going to become a lot easier. It's going to become more relaxed and things are going to come to you more naturally. So I bet you like hearing that.
Yeah, right now there's like 50 balls up in the air. So
And only 3 hands. Well, I really think that what we're really talking about is not what you're doing, it's your vision for the future. That's what's really changing. Don't worry about what you're doing. Am I in the right place? Am I doing the right business then? Now, you were talking about get your business perspective, get it lined up. And that perspective has been too rigid because you've been playing it too safe. And so you're not a safe player. That's not your nature. Look at that image you did of that human being sprung out of space, out off the earth. You know the one I mean? Oh, it's just phenomenal image of taking off, going. So let's go back to your chart because I think it's kind of fascinating. So as this Saturn here starts to disintegrate, and Eris is right here. It's going to quiet down some. What do we see here? We see Neptune is still strong. We see the Sun and the Leo and the Uranus. So we see Uranus is going to continue on into the first house. It's going to continue into the first house. So what's going to happen here, as Pluto subsides and Uranus continues through here, what I think will happen, you will see a dramatic change in your hairdo, in the clothes that you wear, in the colors that you like. You're going to become livelier, okay? You're going to want to return to some of these youthful kind of ideas, kind of like let it fly. And now this same thing happened to Susan last year, and Susan went with it. And she started doing all kinds of wild, different art, and it worked out really well. It's time to experiment.
okay.
That make sense?
Hey, that sounds great. I'm up for that.
Yeah, it sounds really good. And I'm not concerned about you because I don't think you're overly rigid or overly Saturn, which is what the problem would be. Okay, so try new things. And I hate to tell you this, but it's real possible. Yeah, Freudian slip, I said problematic. I said it's real possible that you're going to start dating younger men.
Oh,
When Uranus is around, it's just real common that the person starts hanging out with younger people, whether it's 80s and 50s or 50s and 20s. It's real probable just because they're livelier, they're less uptight, they're freer. And you're going to have real little patience to hang out with dullards. You're going to really have low patience with that. You're going to want to have some fun with creative people.
yeah.
And let's have coffee.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I got time for, let's see here. I tell you what, I just can't, it's going to break my heart if I don't get to Jasmine here. Let's do Susan briefly, and then we'll skip to Jasmine. Susan, I hope I can just treat you briefly because I've been reading a lot for you in the past several months, if that'd be okay. Okay, let's take a look at your chart though, and I want to get to Jasmine. Jasmine's up there getting her seatbelt on and getting super glued into her seat.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at what we have. Susan is right here. Okay. Now, Susan, let's get right down to the point. Let's see what's going on with this chart. All right. Pluto is sitting right here, kind of quietly. Well, it's not quiet at all. That's right. It's opposing to Jupiter, Uranus. Okay, we talked about this a couple weeks ago about the basis of this T-square is the Chiron Jupiter Uranus. It's getting hit by Pluto and Eris, and it makes the T-square to Neptune. So what is this all about? I think I know what this means, and I'm not sure. I need to give this more time. But what I see with this axis being hit by Pluto is there's a sense in you, especially being a Sag, there's this sense that needs to go away, and I think it is. This sense of overworking, being over dedicated, thinking you have to do all this stuff when you don't really have to. And Sagittarius want to be free. And Sagittarius with a moon in Gemini want to be double free.
Right.
I think you've been doing a good job with that, of lessening up this sense of freedom. And I think in the past, much of your life, if you did that, you felt bad about it or guilty about it because of some kind of unknown spiritual obligation.
Right.
That's what I see with that Neptune. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And now it's really, you're getting a lot more relaxed with it, aren't you?
I think so. Although I'm pushing out in new directions, but yes.
Well, are you down by San Diego?
I am currently in the mountains by San Diego. Yeah.
What's the next stop?
Oh, back up towards Los Angeles area.
Okay. You let us know. I do want to spend a little time to thank Jasmine for coming in. Thank you, Susan, for being generous. Jasmine, we talked and I do want to get to your chart. Welcome to the United States from Tokyo. Okay, let me get your chart out.
Thank you, Susan.
Recording. Okay, what was your birth time? I'll show it to you in a second. She's 11:03 in the morning in Seattle.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to tell you something, Jasmine. I don't do a lot of work with this, but you should. I don't know what you know about astrology, but you need to do a location chart. You need to have two natal charts. One is the one we're looking at now that was born in Seattle, and you have to do another one as if you were born in Tokyo. And these two charts will especially be different if the latitude is different, not the longitude, but the latitude. So if you find that your chart doesn't make sense sometimes, you may want to look at the Japanese one because they're both true. They're both true. So you have what's called a locality chart. Now, in your birth chart, we notice right off the bat, right up and down the midheaven is Venus, Jupiter. See, if you're new here, when planets fall along the angles, 1, 2, 3, 4, they're a big deal. Venus, Jupiter is somebody who's just really happy. That's what that means. It's somebody that really knows how to enjoy life. They're happy. Now, somebody with Pluto on the ascendant, I'm not sure what that means. Because that means so many things. That's not easy to translate. So we leave it go. And did you notice Pluto is square to the Venus and the Jupiter? Okay, so we don't know what the Pluto means, and we don't do it a disservice by trying to translate it too quickly. Let it be. Now we come, as we see, 3 planets in Leo. Keeping with our theme tonight of a Virgo with a bunch of Leo. That means when they go on stage, they're both going on stage. The Leo tells the Virgo, oh, loosen up and sing. And the Virgo tells the Leo, oh, quit having such a big mouth. Okay. And they just have to learn to get along because they're a lot more alike than they think. Now, you have a very mysterious, powerful looking grand trine. Venus at 5, the moon at 6, and Saturn at 14. So you have, I'm sorry, Uranus. You have Uranus in a grand trine with Venus and the moon. So this is somebody who's really pretty lively, friendly, easy to approach, etc. Here's the 10th house. Venus is very strong, indicating that she might do well in a career with art involved, especially with the Leo stuff, because the Leo wants to be creative. But she's got administrative skills since the sun is up here in the 10th house. We have a Leo midheaven. The Pluto on the ascendant, we don't know what it means. It's the big mystery. We're going to leave it go for now. And here comes again. Here's the Saturn in Scorpio. Saturn in Scorpio is not easy. It's very tough. These people can be very, very tough on themselves. You got to watch this placement. So we have to talk a lot about that through time. But this is somebody, when you get the people giving themselves a hard time, the two experts are Virgos and Scorpios. You got them both. These are people that are hard on themselves. We don't know why yet. A lot of reasons. But in a lot of ways, being hard on yourself is what toughens you. So we got to keep an eye on that. We like very much the fact that the moon is in Aries to keep that Virgo from being too earthbound and get a little fiery. We like that. Now I'm going to jump ahead. There is a T-square to the sun. Uranus opposite Chiron with a T-square to the sun. This indicates somebody with astrological abilities. That Chiron opposite Uranus is what does that. Now let's see what's going on in this chart. Pluto is sitting here squaring the ascendant and the descendant, while Eris is sitting here. So your whole ascendant, descendant is on fire. What does that mean? That means that you are, like Becky was earlier, you are overviewing your entire way of having relationships with people, whether it's a guy at the bus stop, a guy in the store, a husband, a child, a dog, your relationships with everybody. Okay? You're rethinking them. Why? Because when Pluto's on you, you've been busy for a long time being very nice. And you are very nice. But when Pluto's on you, nice is no longer the category. You want to know if it's real. Okay? If it's real. And relationships that aren't 50-50 got to go. And they're going to go. Because you don't have patience for them anymore. And that's real hard on Virgos, because Virgos always want to do what they should do. And you can't do that. You can't keep doing what you should do, because should is just somebody else's opinion. Make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Perfect sense.
Okay. Now, I'm not telling you stay with somebody, leave somebody, any of that. But what I'm talking about is Virgos have a sense of self-repressing their own needs because they put their job first, or they're ready to shoot and they think, oh, what could happen? And then they modify their aim by thinking about what could happen instead of just shoot the thing. Okay? And Virgos often fall to the wayside when they give in to what they should do instead of what they want to do. And boy, when they start thinking about what they want to do, they almost feel like an evil sinner. They're not made to feel like doing what they want. But you've got other nice things in your chart and some Aries in there, some self-interest in the chart. So I think you'll make it through fine. The biggest thing to tell Virgos is, and this is really true, there's nobody that's going to smack you for having making a mistake. Nobody. There's nobody following you with a clipboard except you. There's nobody following you. Oh, you see that mistake she made there? Oh, look at that. Oh, there's nobody out there. But you guys have such a tremendous sense of doing what's right. It's the right from wrong sign. There is no such thing. So that whole thing is going to carry on very well through the year, that whole theme that you will be studying. As a matter of fact, if you study a lot of my later videos, you'll see that that theme's been talked a lot about the last couple of years, so you could benefit by those. I wanted to let everybody know, in case you don't know this, I have a free course out there on this station. I did a 10-week Astrology Unplugged several years ago. I got tired of teaching after 32 years. I did a 10-week free course, beginning to intermediate, 10 weeks. All you got to do is type in my name with beginning course into YouTube, and you'll find week 1, it's free. Week 2, week 3, all up to week 10. Let's come back and wrap things up with her chart now. All right.
I binge watched all your videos last week.
Oh my God, you could not. 300?
No, not all 300. Those the free courses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those 10. Okay. Oh,
Just like-
good. Then you got a good basis. That's just like reading this book, because that's all same thing. Well, that's very, very good. Well, we binge watched all of The Walking Dead. My God, 170.
Oh, that too.
Oh my
Well,
God.
not last week, but
You haven't done that. True, there ain't nothing like it. You see a lot of dead zombies, yes. We'll make sure recording's still going. Okay, let's finish up with Jasmine. Okay, with share screen. Okay, now we talked a lot about, I do want to get into other things. I want to investigate this Pluto, and there's no way this Pluto is going to answer or tell us anything till we look at your past life. It just isn't going to. So let's take a quick look at that, and we will look at what's called the spiritual transcript, the 12th harmonic. And in that 12th harmonic, what do we see? We see Mercury opposite the moon. We see Neptune opposite Eris down to Jupiter. We see a very powerful Uranus sitting right on the descendant. And that's the same degree where that's the same degree where Uranus and Pluto conjuncted to make the 60s. Okay, so this Uranus is really intriguing. I want to follow up with that. That is why Pluto's on your ascendant, this planet. Now, I'm really not concerned with most of the charts. Now, why would somebody put Pluto on the ascendant? This chart is an overview of all your lives. So why would you take a new lifetime and put Pluto on the ascendant? The rest of the chart's very pleasant. Why would you do that? Well, the Uranus in Virgo is really confusing message there, because Uranus is, wow, do what you want to do. And Virgo is, you do it the right way. Do what you want to do, but do it the right way. What's that mean? Okay. Well, how about if you do it the right way, but we put Pluto on the ascendant? Because Pluto's a very serious governor. So there's this whole theme. I think I know what this means, and we're going to have to dig into this through the next several months. There's this theme of in the last lifetime, I had a lot of freedom. I was way ahead of everybody in a lot of ways. It was very good to be so advanced, but somehow I needed to come back into this lifetime and make sure I had more discipline. You didn't. You thought you did. You didn't. Claudia, nah. Nah, you didn't need to. So you've been riding yourself very hard. Did what I just say have discipline in it? Did what I just do have discipline in it? And it doesn't have to. That's the big message. That will scare the shit out of you because now you're out in space, naked, flying free. And boy, there ain't nothing to hold you back now because you're flying free. Does that make sense?
Somewhat.
A lot? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, well,
somewhat.
some.
I think I'll have to rewind that and listen to it again.
A lot, somewhat. I like that. A lot, somewhat. Okay. What I'm picking up, and we'll talk more about it later. We're coming to an end now. Your charts combine in such a way that you have some confusion between flying free and being disciplined. And in a lot of ways, those two things do need to be compacted and work well together and integrate. Yes, but less than we think. See, what we're finding now in this 2023 now, what you're seeing everywhere, and not everybody's reacting to it properly, we've been really mean to ourselves. A lot of us, for a long time. And we really don't have to. And a lot of it is guilt, and a lot of it is, my God, when you do the charts of the people in the Middle East, their charts are about one word. Obey, 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 obey. There's so much of this self-strapping stuff. And so I see your chart, like many charts, is taking that off and taking it off. And the biggest thing I want to tell you all before I say goodnight is all of us can afford to let ourselves go freely because we're just not going to hurt anybody. We're not going to. It's our nature. So good night. See you next week.
Thank you, Rick.
Remember to
Great
vote for Rick.
inspiration.
Remember to vote for Rick. Yeah, go to OM Times magazine. And they're voting
Already
for,
did.
yeah,
Already did.
they're voting for the favorite astrologer of the year. So I was shocked to see that. That's what happens during your Jupiter return. You know. Good night, Jasmine.
Wow.
Please come see us again.
Night.
I will.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Tokyo.
Take care.